In the hush of an ancient forest, a single vow takes shape, unheard yet unbreakable. No words pass lips, only the heart speaks. This silent promise will echo through ages, shaping kingdoms and souls. What happens when a promise needs no voice to bind it? We turn to Ramayana, the great Sanskrit epic by sage Valmiki, which tells the story of Lord Rama. It is set in the kingdom of Ayodhya in today's India during the Treta Yuga, an age of righteous kings and great sages. The epic begins with Rama as the beloved prince of Ayodhya, destined to uphold Dharma, righteous duty, above all. Scholars date the original Ramayana composition from roughly the 7th to the 4th century BCE. Across centuries, these verses have inspired generations. The Ramayana's central moral is the triumph of virtue and the ideal of Ramarajya, Rama's just rule. In Ayodhya, King Dasharath had once granted his wife Kaikeyi 2 boons. When she demanded Rama's exile, Dasharath honored his word without hesitation. Rama accepted the sentence with quiet resolve, not a word of complaint. His brother Lakshman turned to him and pledged with unwavering devotion, "Wherever you dwell, O Rama, that alone is my heaven. I do not desire Ayodhya if I am not with you." Lakshmana's vow bound him to Rama's destiny without needing to say more. Later, when Bharata returned to find Rama gone, he refused to sit on the throne. Instead, he took Rama's wooden sandals and placed them on the king's seat. Bowing before those sandals, Bharata proclaimed, "For 14 years, I shall wear matted locks, offering the ruling of the kingdom to your sandals." With that silent gesture, he vowed to rule only in Rama's name, even pledging to enter the funeral pyre if Rama did not return. Again, no words needed beyond the promise symbolized by the sandals. In the quiet depths of the forest, humble devotees also made silent vows. An aged ascetic, Shabari, had devoted her life to serving the Lord who would one day pass her way. Each day she plucked wild berries, tasting them herself. Only the sweetest made it to her basket. When Rama finally arrived, she offered these fruits with trembling devotion. Lakshmana noted that Shabari had tasted the berries already. Rama smiled and replied that no offering is worthless when given with love. "Whomsoever offers a fruit with love, I partake in it with great joy." Moved by her pure intent, the epic says Shabari's life was redeemed. In that moment, Rama let her merge into the sacred fire and ascend to heaven as a celestial being. Her silent, selfless promise to serve was more powerful than any spoken prayer. Elsewhere, another unsung heroine wove her pledge in stillness. Urmila, Lakshmana's wife, quietly took upon herself the burden of her husband's sleep during the entire exile. The Adhyatma Ramayana even tells us she takes Lakshmana's sleep upon herself, a profound act of devotion. Night after night, while Lakshmana guarded Rama and Sita, Urmila slept continuously, sustaining them all. In that silent sacrifice, her unspoken vow empowered the mission ahead. Modern commentators note that the Ramayana is woven from solemn promises. In fact, the power of one's word is sacred in this epic. Every key turning point hinges on a vow. Dasharatha's oath to Kaikeyi, Rama's own acceptance of exile, Hanuman's promise to serve, and others. One reflection explains how Rama's silent acceptance of exile was itself a pivotal vow. Another notes that loyalty in Ramayana is based on truth and dharma, not blind duty. Lakshmana's heartfelt line to Rama, is seen as loyalty, not requiring any further oath. His love spoke through silence. Scholars and storytellers across ages have highlighted these silent commitments, showing us that actions often say what words cannot. Why has this silent promise endured? The Ramayana's message has shaped culture for millennia. Its heroes and vows became ideals in Hindu society: righteousness, devotion, sacrifice. The epic's influence spread far beyond India. Innumerable versions in Asia testify that its values resonate universally. Even today, tales of unspoken pledges guide us. We admire Bharata's loyalty without claim, Sita's steadfast faith, Shabari's humble love. As one sage put it, Rama's ideals taught generations that virtue and sacrifice form the foundation of a just society. In an age of noise and haste, these silent vows remind us of the power of integrity and devotion that no words can capture. Listen, this is the story of a throne kept empty by choice, of a city ruled in spirit, not by the hand that sits upon its seat. It is the story of Bharata, brother, regent, ascetic, and of 14 years that reshaped what power, duty, and loyalty could mean. Imagine Ayodhya at dusk, marble and sandalwood, lamps reflected on river waters, people moving with the quiet certainty that their king will come home. Now imagine that certainty broken, not by war, not by siege, but by a vow kept in another's name. When Bharata returned and found Rama gone, he did not seize power. Instead, he took what remained of Rama's presence, 2 simple wooden sandals, and placed them on the royal seat. A gesture so small in form, yet so colossal in meaning. This is where our deeper tale begins. Beyond exile, beyond battlefield heroics, here, in the slow attention to honor, to representation, to the ethics of absence. Bharata's choice became an experiment in political morality. He refused the crown, he refused the throne, and he walked away, toward the forest, toward Nandigram, carrying the kingdom's burden on his shoulders and the king's sandals on his heart. Picture him there. No royal finery, no jeweled diadem, only matted hair and the plain cloth of a penitent. He sat where the dust of the city met the roots of trees, and he placed the sandals upon a small mound. Every dawn he rose, offered water to those sandals, and every dusk he sat by them, reciting the names of Rama as if reciting the truth of the land. This was not mere theater. This was governance in proxy. Ministers arrived, pained, bewildered, pragmatic, offering counsel, asking him to accept the rule so the kingdom might have a visible head. He answered with acts, not decrees. He issued orders in Rama's name. He collected taxes as Rama's steward. He punished malpractices, not with the vindictiveness of a usurper, but with the austere fairness of a guardian. What does it mean to rule when you refuse to reign? Bharata taught us that legitimacy can be performative and yet sincere, that a symbol may carry the weight of law so long as the people accept its authority. But the years were not idle. Troubles came, droughts that tested granaries, disputes that flared like sudden wildfires, governors tempted by the idea that a throne without a king is a throne one may take. Bharata met them all. When famine shadowed a district, he opened royal stores. When governors grew restless, he traveled in plain dress and listened to complaints under banyan trees. When lawlessness crept, he led a procession, not with a sword in his hand, but with Rama's sandals placed prominently on a raised palanquin, so the people saw clearly who commanded their loyalty. And through all this, he never sat on the throne. He would not allow even the semblance of self-aggrandizement. Power lived through containment, through the refusal to let power become identity. Outside Ayodhya, in the forest, a different kind of rule unfolded too. Rama, in exile, observed the world without the comforts of palace, and Ayodhya, under Bharata, learned to hold its center even in the absence of its rightful king. One could say the kingdom was being taught patience. But the strain of waiting is human. Bharata felt it. At night, he spoke to the sandals as to a living counsel, confessing doubts, admitting fears, seeking guidance. He was ruler, messenger, devotee, and in that peculiar trinity, he became legend. Let us linger on a single day, a day when a delegation from a neighboring kingdom arrived bearing gifts and an offer of alliance. They expected pomp. They expected gold. Instead, they found Bharata in matted hair, receiving them under a fig tree, speaking softly about justice and the inviolability of promises. He explained that the sandals on the mound were not an idol, nor a statement of impotence, but a covenant. He told them that a kingdom that upholds its word is stronger than a king who changes his mind for comfort. The delegation left humbled, and the alliance became one that valued steadiness over convenience. Stories spread of Bharata walking among farmers repairing a collapsed well, of his voice counseling in disputes, of him punishing a corrupt official who tried to take advantage of the king's absence. In each act, the sandals were present, silent witnesses to justice carried out in the name of Rama. Yet Bharata's life was not merely public duty. There were personal tempests, sleep he could not find, nights when grief made the stars thin. He missed the brother he loved. He longed for the clarity of family, for the laughter that once filled palace halls. At times, he imagined Rama returning, just for a moment, to say that the kingdom had endured. But he never allowed desire to become obligation. His restraint was devotion. The 14 years were a slow education for Bharata, for Ayodhya, for the idea of rulership itself. Each year left its mark. New wells, new laws protecting women and traders, reforms that defended small farmers. Power, surrendered of ego, became a caretaker's duty. And there were moments of testing, when false rumors circulated that Rama had died, when a false claimant sought to sit upon the sandal mound. Bharata quelled unrest not by brute force, but by reminding people of the story that bound them. Rama's exile, the promise that had been honored. He reminded them that the sandals carried Rama's legitimacy, and that honoring them was to honor the kingdom's very soul. This governance without coronation forced a new language of leadership, soft authority, moral persuasion, and relentless service. It taught ministers to act with conscience. It taught citizens what it meant to be governed by a principle rather than a personality. Consider the paradox, an empty throne that filled the hearts of millions. A ruler who renounced the seat but took on the work. This is the paradox that shapes the next part of our story. How absence can become the most demanding presence of all. And yet, in the depth of that waiting, there is a quiet pedagogy. The people learn to remember why they followed a king, not for spectacle, but for justice. They learned that institutions are more than individuals. They are promises woven into daily life. Let us not romanticize hardship. Bharata suffered. He renounced not because it was easy, but because it was true to his conviction. That suffering made his actions credible. It taught citizens to see sacrifice as the bedrock of public trust. After many seasons, when the 14 years drew near their end, murmurs of anticipation spread. Would Rama return? Would the sandals once again be lifted by the rightful hand? And when the moment came, when Rama walked back into Ayodhya, Bharata did something many found staggering. He ran to meet his brother. He bowed. He placed the sandals back at Rama's feet. And he said, with humility and a voice that carried the weight of all he had borne, "To you belongs the kingdom. I have kept your house safe." Rama accepted, not with triumph, but with sorrow for the suffering caused by promises made long ago, and with gratitude for the devotion of his brother. It was not the return of a king triumphant. It was the reunion of a polity healed by patient fidelity. What then should we take from Bharata's vigil? First, leadership is more tested by absence than presence. Second, symbols gain power only when sustained by real sacrifice. Third, duty, when practiced without spectacle, becomes the most persuasive form of authority. And finally, a softer lesson for our times. In an era of loud proclamations and rapid promises, perhaps the deepest test is to ask, will we hold our word when no one watches? Ask yourself, what sandals do you keep on your own small mound? What duty have you chosen to carry silently? History remembers speeches and battles, yes, but sometimes it remembers the quiet work of a single person, refusing crown and choosing care. Bharata's vigil stands as a testament that power may be held without possession, and honor may be a responsibility worn like a simple cloth. When the city lamps dim and the river whispers to itself, the sandals wait on the mound, and the world learns again that some promises kept in silence change history. And in the fading light, the ancient forest whispers its secret. A vow need not be heard to be kept. It asks each listener, what quiet promise will you carry in your heart? The answer echoes on the winds of your own destiny. The greatest vows in Ramayana were not announced. They were endured. Could we still live like that today?